Things are definitely not working out for Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo. For the third game in a row, Man United were held to a 1-1 draw by a mid-table side while enjoying a great opening half, where they were the best side out there. In the game against Southampton, Ralf Rangnick's men came in guns blazing and took the game to Ralf Hasenhüttl's men at Old Trafford. All the signs showed that United were finally going to get a much-needed win over the Saints and get back to the top 4 side of things. However, they were bereft of ideas during the second half, and it was the visitors who were playing with more vigour and clearly wanted a good result more than their hosts. In the midst of it all, Cristiano Ronaldo cut a frustrated figure once again. The Portuguese forward drew a blank for the 6th game in a row, something that hasn't happened since 2009. Questions are now being asked about the practicality of signing an aging star, and many have wondered if United made the signing just so that Man City wouldn't get his signature. So this is what we're going to discuss in today's video. Before we get started, we want to share the sponsor of today's video. The OneFootball app is the ultimate football platform and is a must-have for every football fan so that you can follow all of your favourite leagues, teams and players all the time right from your phone. You can be sure to turn on notifications for specific players to be instantly alerted when they score a goal or when they're involved in other breaking news. It is the best and easiest way to stay up to date with everything football. Click the link in the description down below to download the app right now. You won't regret it. Mute for 5 games and in all appearances in 2022, guilty of having missed a penalty against Middlesbrough during the elimination in the FA Cup, Cristiano Ronaldo is in the eye of critics currently at Man United. It must be said that the Portuguese star has posted his worst ratio since the 2005-06 season, that has seen him score only once every 189 minutes since his return to the Premier League, and only hits on target on average 3 or 4 times per game. Aware of his star player's poor form, Ralf Rangnick, who's never held his tongue in his pocket, shook CR7 a little before the game against Southampton on Saturday. Cristiano Ronaldo? He should have scored more goals, that's obvious. But that's not just Cristiano's problem. This is the problem of all players, especially attackers. We don't score enough, said the German manager, anxious to dilute the responsibility for this failure. Rarely stung in his long and prosperous career, Ronaldo had always had explosive responses. The Saints would have been well advised to be wary this Saturday at the Theatre of Dreams. Unfortunately, this wasn't the game where Ronaldo would silence his critics. He was disappointing just like the rest of his teammates in a game where the home side was expected to do much better. There was no huge comeback, and Romain Perrault made sure that this was the case, preventing the multiple-time Ballon d'Or winner's effort from crossing the line. The game ended in a disappointing 1-1 draw, which meant that the Portugal international has now gone 6 games without scoring a single goal, which is something he's not experienced in over a decade. Although such goal droughts should not be a big deal, we're talking about a player who's been scoring goals for fun for such a long time. It's very rare to see Ronaldo not stamp his authority on the pitch in some way. The recent weeks, however, have thrown Ronaldo into a situation that he simply isn't accustomed to. The last time the 37-year-old scored a goal was back on December 30th in a 3-1 win over Burnley. This makes for grim reading for a player who's nearing 700 goals at club level in what has been an illustrious career. His performances in the last few months have not been great at all. Ronaldo is definitely not the sort of player who will be sold on the gegenpressing philosophy, which means that when he is starting games, United are not going to be able to press opponents effectively enough. Ronaldo returned to Man United last summer, and when he did, he probably imagined a very different kind of reunion. One that would involve the residents of Old Trafford fighting for top honours and waking up from their Sir Alex Ferguson retirement-induced slumber. The Portuguese star is working in a complicated atmosphere in a club where results have been dismal, to say the least. There have been times when Ronaldo has been blamed to be intimidating his teammates by expecting too much out of them. In fact, former Liverpool midfielder Dietmar Hamann says that despite having someone like Ronaldo in the locker room, there is no one who can solve problems that the team is experiencing. Someone needs to make sure that all the players are pulling in the same direction, which isn't the case at the moment. The current environment does not seem to be the right one for the younger players. In fact, Ronaldo has said that he's willing to help out the younger players, but admits that dealing with this new generation of players is very difficult. The statements made by the veteran forward about this issue is quite telling. A lot of young players do need direction, but are they really willing to listen to a senior figure? Someone who's been there and done that? Take, for instance, Mason Greenwood. The young forward was reportedly not happy to see that Ronaldo was acting like the boss of everything at the club. Greenwood, on the other hand, did not develop enough, and while many would not talk about it, his attitude was not right to begin with. And all that is long before he was arrested on suspicion of domestic abuse. So here you can see that Ronaldo has a point. While he was brought back to Old Trafford to revive the club's ailing fortunes, pinning the entire blame on him would be totally unfair. Ronaldo did well at United during the Fergie days only because he had some truly remarkable teammates to rely upon. The likes of Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Wayne Rooney, Park Ji-sung, Nani, Anderson and many others expected a lot of each other, and Ronaldo had a similar attitude. That was a squad which was teeming with leaders, men who would pour their hearts out on the field and ensured that United remained the team to beat in England and beyond. If you look at United right now, we don't really see any leaders. Harry Maguire is probably the worst thing you could buy for £80 million. Marcus Rashford is a one-trick pony who's still not developed and keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. Truth be told, United's problems aren't entirely Ronaldo's fault. When a team makes a decision to sign a player who has a history of scoring goals and being decisive in clutch moments, there has to be a plan to get the best out of that player. You hire the right manager and implement the right structure. Unfortunately, this isn't how things are done at United. There was no plan to create a structure that would get the best out of Ronaldo. The veteran forward was signed and was expected to get the ball rolling on his own. Pretty much everyone who has some knowledge of football knows how disjointed United are as a team. You'd hardly find a group of players in the starting 11 who'll complement each other. At the base of midfield, they don't have a midfielder who can quickly transition from defence to attack and set through players further ahead. And then, down the flank, you have players like Rashford who tend to make the wrong decision. The midfield is a conundrum that's been talked about for a long time but never addressed. Donny van de Beek was supposed to be the solution, but the Dutchman was never given a fair shot at making the starting spot his own. The former Ajax man is now on loan at Everton and was on song as the Toffees beat Leeds United 3-0. Jadon Sancho has been the only bright spot in recent weeks, with the England international now showing why the club paid so much for his signature last summer. But that's not enough. Ronaldo normally cuts a lone figure up front and can't rely on his teammates around him to be creative enough. We're certain that Ronaldo is completely sick of the current situation and is eyeing a move away from Old Trafford in the summer. According to reports, he's already instructed his agent, Jorge Mendes, to start hunting for a new destination. While he might be 37, there's loads of clubs who would be interested in signing the former Real Madrid man. In fact, a lot of interested clubs have already got the right structures to get the best out of the legendary forward. Take, for example, PSG, who will be without Kylian Mbappe in the summer. Ronaldo is seen as the perfect man to replace him for the short term. The French giants have great depth in all positions, and we're certain that the 37-year-old will be able to shine brighter than he ever has in England if he switches Old Trafford for Parc des Princes. Obviously, not scoring enough goals on his second coming to England is something that annoys Ronaldo, but if we logically look at things, it really isn't CR7's fault. Maybe the only mistake he ever made was to decide to make an emotional decision to join the team that's been in disarray ever since Sir Alex Ferguson retired all those years ago.